right place at the right time over the last 18 or so months. And that, of course, is the payment processing space. We're going to focus in on PayPal. To help us do that, I'd like to welcome in TD Ameritrade Network contributor Evelyn Baker, as well as the co-founder of LikeFolio.com, Landon Swan. Evelyn, it's hard to talk PayPal without also talking Square, but I think about what these companies have been able to do over the last year in their growth in both their crypto businesses, other kind of banking facilities that they've built out, but also peer-to-peer transfer of cashless transactions, which has been essential over the last 18 or so months. And of course, just online checkouts in general, I'm sure have really helped these companies. But we're going to focus in on PayPal here ahead of its earnings announcement later on this afternoon.
Right, and PayPal has benefited a lot from this past year. I mean, its shares are trading just off all-time highs, and the stock has run up more than 70% over the past year. It does report second quarter earnings after the bell today, and Zacks is estimating that they'll post EPS of $1.13 on revenues of about $6.3 billion, which would be up about 20% year over year. And as far as further details expected out of PayPal's second quarter report, the street is expecting that total payment volume will be about $297 billion. They're calling for active customer accounts of 12.8 million, total number of payment transactions of 4.7 billion, and Venmo total payment volumes of $56 billion. But PayPal is being increasingly grouped into the more traditional financial services space, as more card companies like Visa, and MasterCard are adopting crypto support. And I have a tweet for you guys today that says Visa, PayPal, and now MasterCard are getting all in for crypto support. Excellent. PayPal witnessed rapid growth in the online payment transactions in the last year amid the pandemic, and its Venmo app continues to gain traction as well in user engagement since it began supporting basic cryptocurrency services back in April of this year. However, you mentioned its competitor Square there, Alex. Square's Cash App still usurps Venmo on all metrics over the past year, though. PayPal is raising merchant fees on some of its transactions starting in August. And there are more competitors coming into the digital payment space than ever before, especially since we have seen how popular PayPal and Square have been over the last couple of years. But Andy, my question for you is that higher fees does mean more income, and that'll be good for PayPal's bottom line, unless, of course, customers jump ship to find cheaper alternatives. Do you see that as a potential negative catalyst for PayPal?
Possibly, Landon, by the way. Yeah, what we're seeing is that PayPal, as they sort of, I guess, move away from eBay and their reliance on eBay, they're starting to really pick up steam. So if you think back many years ago, that's all that PayPal was, and they're far from that now. I think that they're actually only about 5.5% of their total payment volume right now, and it's decreasing. They expect that to get down to about 3% by the end of the year. They're adding a lot of new customers, but really what we're seeing is that I think that the key for PayPal is how well they've done with Venmo. And Venmo used to be sort of the, you just talked about how they still are sort of second place to Cash App, and they haven't really been executing as well. But recently, they've really picked up a ton of steam, especially when you look at how well they've done in the crypto space. So Venmo's really adopted, whereas Cash App they were early adopter. They're early innovators, but they've since fallen behind a little bit because you can only get in on Bitcoin on Cash App, whereas Venmo, you can get on multiple coins and you can actually pay using cryptocurrency. And so when we look at how well those two apps are doing against each other in the crypto space, you can actually see that PayPal has taken the lead. And that's actually surprising to me because Square was so early and they did so well. But I think that PayPal and Venmo have done a great job of integrating cryptocurrency, whereas Square, again, was early, but they've lagged behind in innovation.
Landon, the growth of these companies highlighted by your data that you've given us is pretty significant. But if I look at the one cryptocurrency engagement mentioned that you just mentioned, it looks like PayPal is actually really beating Square pretty handily in that department. And the question, you may have already answered it in a little bit of ways, but is that because they're doing more than just Bitcoin? Why are you seeing them pull ahead? Is it because of a larger offering than Square is, or like a Home Depot Lowe's relationship? PayPal's just been in the business longer. They're bigger, and they just gobble up more market share.
No, I mean, I think that they've got that, infrastructure or larger user base as an advantage. But for a long time, Square was positioning themselves as the leader. But now, so in Square, you can buy, sell, and hold Bitcoin. But in Venmo, you can actually buy, sell, and hold Bitcoin, Ethereum, Bitcoin Cash, and Litecoin. In addition, you can also, PayPal has actually enabled crypto holders to pay with cryptocurrency via fiat conversion. So you can actually make transactions and do things as opposed to just buy, sell, trade and hold as you can in Cash App. So I think they're actually making cryptocurrency useful, and they're making it so you can go in and do something with it rather than just be speculative and trade on it like you can in Cash App.
It sounds like a little bit, Landon, that PayPal in many ways has let Square kind of pave the way and do some of the innovation, and then comes in late and really focuses on doing it the way that they think their customers will like it, and that's paid off tremendously. But Evelyn mentioned the Cash App Venmo kind of numbers, and that Cash App is still outperforming across the board. And I say this every time, I just don't get it, because I have never met someone who uses Cash App. It's always Venmo, and then sometimes it's even Facebook Messenger you can send funds. And so maybe this is less about peer-to-peer transferring of cash the way we think of it, and the social dilemma and the social dynamic side of kind of Venmo, and that more people have that. And is this just about cryptocurrency and some of the banking kind of alternatives that you get from these apps, and that maybe Cash App was a little bit ahead of the game in that space?
Yeah, I think that the long play, like the home run, could possibly be crypto if that whole space takes off. We could debate that for hours. But I do think that obviously using actual U.S. currency right now is the play. That's where you're going to get your big users. Alex, I agree. I've never met anybody that uses Cash App. I've paid hundreds of people and received from hundreds of people using Venmo. So I don't know where these people are, but I know they've got a ton of users. I think a lot of it comes from their cash giveaways that I'm not sure if they're still doing it, but I think it was every Friday they did cash giveaways. Very viral, very social element to that. So I think they got a lot of users. My guess is that the average user on Cash App is transacting or holding far less than the average user on Venmo in dollars, but they have more users. I don't have data to back that up. That's just my feel. So yeah, that may be the case, but right now I think that it's all about the U.S. dollar and you getting users, getting those transactions, and just providing a solid platform to do that. Long term, I think cryptocurrency is the play. If that sector holds up, which, I'm a believer, but I'm not sure everyone is, so we'll see. But I do like that Venmo and PayPal are actually taking some steps to broaden the offerings as opposed to Cash App sort of sitting still on just Bitcoin.
Absolutely. Landon, we know that this space in general, and I say this space because it's, again, hard to talk about just PayPal because it is such an e-commerce and everything payments here. We had Shopify as well, but we know PayPal, its core business is still going to be the e-commerce kind of checkout space where it was kind of a pioneer. How is kind of talking about shopping online holding up as things are reopening and we're starting to watch the world normalize slowly but surely here across the globe?
Sure. Knock on wood when you say that. You got the Delta variant scaring everybody. So we'll see. But I think that there's a lot of behavior that changed. And while, yes, everybody's going out and they like going to stores and they like, going into the real world, as we say, there's also a lot of people that discovered online shopping and online spending for the first time, or who maybe had done it a couple of times, but now are getting way more comfortable and it's become part of their everyday life. And those habits, they're not going to go away because it's an increase in efficiency. It's a change of lifestyle that makes sense. It's not just something that you had to do during lockdown. All of a sudden you're saying, yeah, why am I driving 20, 30 minutes to the store round trip as opposed to just ordering it and I'll get it tomorrow if I don't really need it. So that, I think, is e-commerce is here to stay. It's growing. You got a big shot in the arm, no pun intended, from just the COVID experience because everyone was locked down. And of course, you're going to increase all that engagement and people are going to stick around. So I think it's here to stay. Data says it's here to stay. And I think that both of these companies are going to benefit. This is a rising tide lifts all boats. They're both going to do well. Who does better is up, we'll have to wait and see. But right now, I do like that how PayPal and Venmo are positioning themselves.
Good stuff. And Landon, as we wrap here and we say goodbye, kind of final thoughts heading into earnings. Is it enough, given the run that we've seen with these names, given the early indication of the lack of excitement behind some of these post-earnings moves? Are you walking out there and saying to buy PayPal here into this earnings, or is this a wait and see for you guys?
We do that score that we always talk about, -100 to +100. This one, PayPal's coming in pretty much neutral, right around 0. We've got no position on it. And the implied volatility doesn't lead me to, playing a neutral position like an iron condor or anything like that. So we're sidelines right now. Just as a side note, if Square were happen to be reporting, they're not, but if they were, they would be a little bit more bearish. So between the two, I like PayPal more, but still just neutral on it.
Excellent. Landon Swan, the co-founder of LikeFolio.com. Thanks as always for joining us. Thanks to Evelyn Baker, TD Ameritrade Network contributor.